Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining in yet another event for our compliance conversations. Today, I have a very interesting topic and a bunch of panelists who between them bring over 65 years of compliance management experience and bring experience from manufacturing, services, different industries, different walks of life, and so on. But before I introduce you, the panelists, let me first quickly take a minute and talk about the topic of discussion today. As you all know, COVID has changed the world around us in unimaginable and unprecedented ways. It has precipitated events that were practically unimaginable, inconceivable in the pre-COVID era. As we work towards putting COVID behind us, believe it or not, this COVID event will leave deep imprints for years to come. It will change the way our corporations and organizations look at compliances and risk management, not just in ways which are very different. Our topic of today is actually that. How do you deal with compliances during the lockdown? I have the pleasure of hosting an elite panel of speakers. Let me first quickly introduce you to them. Dr. Vasudevan, who presently serves as the head of legal and compliance with TeamLease Credit, a leading NBFC with 35 years of experience in legal. He has worked in blue chip companies such as Cholamandalam Investments, Fullerton India, and Spic Group for more than 20 years. He holds a doctorate in law and PG diploma in cyber crimes and information technology. He's an active advisor for finance companies, association, and NBFCs related legal activities, RBI and statutory compliances. One very interesting thing about Dr. Vasudevan is that he was associated with BCCI, which is Board of Cricket Control in India, during 2000 to 2005, and assisted Mr. Madhavan Nayars in match fixing inquiry and disciplinary proceedings against the players. I had some very interesting conversations with Dr. Vasudevan on the subject, and we'll probably call him for a different dialogue on that subject later. Welcome, Dr. Vasudevan.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Our second panelist today is Vijay. Vijay Singh comes with over 28 years of experience and is heading regulatory and compliance department at Sterling Wilson, an associate of SP Group. He has been a visiting faculty of industrial relations at Institute of Business Management and Research in Pune. Vijay has served the Indian Staffing Federation, New Delhi, and the Metropolitan Institute of Catering Technology at Pune. He has presented many papers, including modern HR practices across institutes. Additionally, Treasury to Human Capital is one of the most valued blogs that he has written. Welcome, Vijay. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Rishi. Thank you for a brief introduction.
Welcome. Let me now introduce you to Srikkanth. PV Srikkanth is a qualified CS and CMA with 11 years of professional experience in manufacturing and banking sector. He is presently the company secretary and compliance officer of the Waterbase Limited. His prior engagements were with V-Guard Industries, Jamie Pole Limited, a Tata Group company, and South Indian Bank. He has a keen interest in public speaking on topics related to corporate law, finance, and has presented in various national and international conferences organized by ICAI, ICSI, World Gas Council, CII, South American Business Forum, and as a speaker and a paper presenter. Well, thank you so much, Vijay, Srikkanth, and Dr. Vasudevan for joining in today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Rishi. Yeah.
So let me set the context of our discussion today.
Thank you, Joseph.
As I said, COVID has changed our world in unprecedented ways. It has challenged us as individuals, as professionals, as corporations on various items. Before we get into the dialogue today, let us take a minute or two, look at the regulatory complexity that as compliance officers we all deal with. India has a universe of 1,536 acts that affect enterprises and corporations. There's a battery of about 69,233 compliances and about 1,618 unique filings across the law of the land. These are broadly broken down into 7 major categories. Around 463 acts and rules fall in labor. As we all know, labor is on the concurrent list of the Constitution. Both center and states legislate labor laws. We are going through a very interesting period where 73-year-old legacy of labor laws is being codified in 4 labor codes. That is currently work in progress, but it will change our labor laws for good. Followed by environment, health and safety. Any manufacturing organization understands environment, health and safety better than others. It deals with Environment Protection Act of 1986 and all the rules, including solid waste management, hazardous waste management, e-waste management, disposal of biomedical waste, air, water, sound pollution, all of those go into EHS. Finance and taxation, as the name suggests, deals with direct tax, indirect tax, customs, FEMA, and all kinds of regulations that affect liability around taxation and finance. Commercial deals with, equipments, including hoists, lifts, cranes, boilers, gas holders, weighing equipments, fire equipments, and so on. Each one of them may have compliance obligations around fitness certificates, around testing, around one-time registrations, renewals. All of those fall under the commercial category. Secretarial, as the name suggests, typically is dealt with by a company secretary, deals with Ministry of Corporate Affairs, SEBI, NSE, BSE, all kinds of obligations around that is a part of secretarial. Industry specific deals with industry specific regulators. This deals with TRAI for telecom, FSSAI for food, and so on and so forth. All of those are a part of industry specific regulations. So as you can see, a mid-sized company in India deals with a lot of these. So these compliances are not applicable to one company, but if you look at a mid-sized company, and we'll talk about that in a minute, this is the mapping of these compliances across the length and breadth of India. Avantis as a company has spent years with over 50 lawyers working on mapping the regulatory complexity, digitizing the compliance database of the country. This is how it looks in terms of central and state. And as you can see, out of 1536 acts, 677 belong to central and about 858 or so under the state category. Let's move on, quickly look at how we look at compliances. Any statutory obligation, which can include licenses, registrations, permissions, consent orders, returns, registers, challans, payments, remittances, displays, exemptions, notices, renewals, all of these are examples of compliances. By no means is this a complete list, but just to make sure that we are on the same page when we talk about compliances, we are showing this data. Now, quickly looking at the levels of compliance. As we know, any company operating in India deals with compliances at 3 levels: central, state, and local. 7 categories that we just spoke of, and 3 types: time-based compliances, which have a frequency like monthly, quarterly, half-yearly, and so on; event-based compliances that are triggered when events are created, which are again secretarial and non-secretarial; and then checklisted compliances, which have no date and time but need to be done on an ongoing basis. Last quick input on what does compliance actually mean for small, mid, and large size corporation. If you see, a very small company in India deals with about 60 plus acts and 750 compliances in a year, with about 120 filings. So in terms of filings, 1 filing every 2nd business day is what a small company deals with. And when you take this data for medium and large size clients, they are dealing with about 4 filings on an approximate basis per business day, and about close to 10,000 compliances based on a multi-business, multi-locational entity. So that's the complexity that we are dealing with. Coming back to our topic of discussion today, which is the challenges of managing compliances during lockdown. Why is it so important? Why is lockdown such a spoil sport? What has changed with lockdown? What kind of challenges on a real-time basis are being felt by organizations? This is really what we are going to discuss. Let me first bring our senior most professional on the panel today, Dr. Vasudevan. I just introduced him, comes with over 35 years of experience across manufacturing and services. He has seen life cycle of these compliances, their evolution, introduction of new acts, and challenges over the last 35 years. Dr. Vasudevan, let me bring you into the conversation and have you talk to our audience today about what are the key challenges of managing compliances during an extended lockdown period that COVID has precipitated. Dr. Vasudevan, you're on mute.
Hi, good evening, everybody. As far as the compliance is concerned, every day is a learning process. Because there are, in fact, you have covered my entire experience in a nutshell, in fact. So I don't have anything to say. Your PPT covered everything, in fact. Okay. Still, every day is a learning process. Day to day, we'll be getting some sort of notification, guidelines and things like that, notification, what do you call actually the surplus and things like that, amendment, various things will be coming. How to keep everything actually within our control, or to access the information, knowledge, and keep everything on track, and ensure that management is complying all these things. Now, due to lockdown, actually there has been a big gap, okay, between the office life as well as in the personal life. Okay, you may not be in a position to go to office. You cannot access file. You cannot even access your your actually server or whatever it is. If you have any laptop or mobile, of course you can manage. This lockdown has actually taught one thing to everybody in the world. That is, we can manage everything without stepping out of our house or an office. If you have simply a mobile or a laptop in your house with the internet connection. I remember those days in 1990s and the late 80s and all. Actually capital of actually control of issues. Whenever you are going for a public issue of shares, you need to prepare about 15 to 20 box files of documents for the complaints. But we really don't know whether they will be in a position to read all the things or not. Approval will take minimum 6 months to 1 year for getting the approval for the public issue clearance. Now it is not like that. Everything, it's a matter of only a pen drive. If you can copy everything in the pen drive, you just email it or you send it to them across, everything over. So the difference.
Very interesting point. 15 to 20 box files of documents.
Yes. We had to
pages, Dr. Vasudevan. How many pages are you referring to? Like few thousand?
Pages will be running around 20,000 pages. Those things we need to take it in the flight only. That time we were having only Air India. Whenever we travel in Air India, the flight ticket is only 20,000 plus. But we had no other way. We have to go there and sit.
Sir, it is so interesting you bring up this data, because compliance officers who are aspiring to be, company secretaries who are aspiring to become compliance officers sometime in the future, they probably have never thought about sending 20,000 sheets of paper and taking boxes, 15, 20 boxes to Bombay to deposit with the regulator. This is such a fascinating piece of data.
Even actually when the SEBI had actually come into the picture, early stages, we used to give the the offer document or whatever it is. No, only they had taken only hard copies of the file. Later, 93 and 94 only they started taking. They asked us to appoint actually merchant bankers and things like that. So they have become as an intermediary, and they have been interacting between the company and the actually SEBI. Okay, so that time we felt a little, we took some oxygen. Otherwise, the day in day out, you should be focusing only on the compliance, what is to be done tomorrow, what is to be done today, what is to be done next year. Those days, I remember, we were having only the typewriter. We have to take a big sheet and we need to actually type it out. What is to be done today, what is to be done next week, what is to be next week, actually next month, and things like that. Every day we have to check whether we have complied or not, Those days we used only the typewriter to type everything for the compliance. Now it is not like that. Simply open up You take a mobile, open it, everything is available. You fill it, including the fees. You make it online. Everything is over.
So just to play a spoil sport here, Dr. Vasudevan, and I have a unique pleasure of talking to hundreds of CXOs a year on compliance topic. And you would not believe 90% of them, while they have replaced the typewriter with a computer machine, but they are still continuing to manage their compliance via a spreadsheet. So the typewriter has been replaced by a computer, the paper has been replaced by a spreadsheet, but the modernization that has come into other critical business processes, compliance is a laggard. I mean, compliance management is still happening a lot on manual, ad hoc, paper-based and people-dependent processes. When actors change, so somebody who is a passionate compliance professional, when he leaves a company, suddenly they realize there is so much intelligence and knowledge that has flown out. And this
I can tell
situation.
you. Yeah, sorry. Here there is only one difference. See, in the typewriter, you cannot retrieve the old documents. You cannot actually retrieve the information or data actually whenever you like. But whereas if you have it in the Excel or in the spreadsheet, anybody can access it and anybody can actually make use of it. See the small difference. The difference between using the bullet cart and the super fast drive. That is the what you call the way the technology travel. Okay, in the exclusively in the compliance field. Earlier we were doing it at the bullet cart speed. Now, no, we can do it at the super fast train speed. But
let me qualify the question a little more. What has changed in COVID? March 25th of last year to June 23rd today, just a year and a few months, but it looks like a century has passed by. What was unimaginable before March 25th suddenly has become the new reality of life. What has changed from a compliance point of view? How has it challenged us?
I will tell you, this is only one word, technology. The introduction of technology, it has intruded aggressively. Okay, so the technology, no, the internet has changed the entire world, in fact. You know, the operation is taking place here, but the doctor actually sitting at some other remote, actually the country, they will be actually suggesting how to do the things. So like that, even in case if you have any problem in addressing the complaints or things like that, I can take help of Mr. Vijay or Mr. Srikkanth. Hi, I am actually stuck up with actually what is to be done. They'll be in the position to guide us either through the WhatsApp call or through the video call or through the empty call, because the technology made the world shrunken, in fact. Okay. Though I can say the technology united the entire world and made our life easy. When the technology is there and when I can do the actual complaints through the technology, see, this technology has proved it is an what you call efficient vehicle to manage or to actually comply with the various actually compliances. When you are equipped with all sort of what you call innovations and technology to monitor and to administer the compliance work, that company has been rewarded or recognized as the topmost actually compliance oriented company. Okay, compliance is not only a simply actually compliance matter. It has legal, social, actually the actually social and economical actually responsibilities. Okay.
Excellent.
So here the technology plays a vital role.
So let me bring Vijay into the conversation here. Vijay, last 12 months or 14 months since COVID unleashed itself, over 1,000 regulatory changes have happened, which are very COVID-related changes, which have long impact on how compliances need to be managed, including one-time extensions on various, dates changing, duty structures changing, lockdown guidelines, what can work, how it needs to work, some of those changing. And there are many such changes that have been unleashed during the lockdown. Tell us a little bit about your experience of managing compliances during the lockdown and its implications.
Yeah. So Rishi, I think you have already pushed us on a right track where a lot of background of compliances you have nurtured through a lot of concurrent list of state and central their jurisdictions. No doubt the technology was already steeping in the last decade of dealing this I'd say employment, regulatory, corporate, business rules, their compliance across India. But suddenly this situation of COVID, which was sudden, I must say, a completely unknown situation. When it come in, and we were aware that India is moving towards a greater change into regulatory part, was already on our head, and we actually moved on from there to a bit because building our team across India, having more than say 1,100 let's say location, like our situation when we say major 7-8 offices operating in major cities of India, and then there for the branches. What happened, that our complete team was out of shot because if I can still remember, 23rd March was the date when PM has been announced, and suddenly all 100% support has been pulled out from the teams of operating in the pattern system of the say offices. So our all file folder system was basically completely isolated from us. Quickly, I think we build up within 48 hours or say 72 hours by having certain support, because our line is where government have to support us with their small permission. We build up the team, having their digital signature support, their system support at their home. And meantime, suddenly you saw that government come with a lot of incentive, that those schemes of incentivizing to the employer, to the employee to give a lot of money in their hand, a lot of restructuring in terms of wages. And if you see exactly for, throw away some money from the PF. So I think regulator was working so the day and night, that everyday change or, you are seeing in your records. And then you are moving online with the team to develop it and to charter it out for the all location and branches, involving the management and involving the team, their repercussion, that what is going to happen. If I just a small thing I discuss here, like government announced that PF deduction would be reduced from 12 to 10%. Now a company like us where a lot of contracting is there, so that 10% to be structured across 20,000 people for their benefit, and maybe then employer component to also to be revisit. Lot of emotion run through, because employee feel why I should be reduced by 2% of employer component. And of course, if I am reduced by 2%, that is coming in his pocket. So you see that here, not only that regulatory and law, intention to deal with the compliances, there is of course a very high level of motivational and engagement activity, which really take the team torn apart. When I say torn apart, means because there is a huge pressure of finance, dealing with economy, and dealing with employment, dealing with our client and the government, their requirements that if rate has been changed, why you have not brought this change by 1st of April? And now we have a lot of outsource agency or our partner to have to be a structure, their deliberation 1-on-1, their memorandum, their understanding in those rate changes. So I tell you, just not one part. If I read it to now, because of COVID-19 situation, talk about if you have a 500 registration and licenses across India, you are having 1,100 location where, as far as applicability is concerned, we have BOCW registration, we have CLRA registration licenses, we have interstate migratory registration and beneficiary registration, BOCW registration, because a lot of pressure of the government to have a beneficiary to be given the benefit by the state. A lot of fund has been boosted to the states for disseminating this money to the end user, basically labor, who are migratory of lot in nature. So I think during this COVID situation, we were totally working for 24 hours every day. We were never imagined that we are working for a month or the end of this situation. And when next day coming, because there could be a 200 call for PF withdrawal of somebody who is basically under the COVID scheme. There is a withdrawal that within 24 hours you can have a money. Then a lot of people KYC concerned, their immediate handling on the EPFO portal. So why not their antecedent, their e-nominee, their bank detail to be help them to clear, authorized, certified, and then through the EPFO it to be disbursed. So why I'm telling that? Because why you see I'm just pushing this area where we don't have face-to-face interaction. So what was the situation actually moved during this which I examined? Actually, it became a totally like a budge COVID, we call it distancing. Here in compliance, I feel that we really felt a matter of distancing of each other. And that was the major learning out of this COVID, that distancing will be the norm of affair in future. We cannot now breathe on the neck of each other. We have to have a distance in our dealing, whether it is from location, whether it's from region, whether it is from some other. So we cannot say exactly it is work from home. It is work from distance. When I say work from distance, it's, it could be anywhere in train, on your car, and maybe anywhere I can join in any meeting on a minute of call, and I think I am strongly available. So COVID has boosted motivation of the people in terms of those who are happy to operate from e-system. Earlier, it was a luxury. Before COVID, working from home and working from distance was a really luxury to IT team and maybe some selective people. But today, I really felt it after a year that this type of working become a very highly motivation, because the productivity has boosted. In my area of activity in compliance, though it is an area of dealing with face-to-face, even the regulator are booking their Zoom meeting with me on day-to-day basis, where they are guiding me, okay, now this Pradhan Mantri Insurance Yojana, and maybe then, Life Scheme Yojana, and maybe other yojanas, where those needs to be boosted on through the platform. We are passing, rather, firstly scanning what are the change happen, then that I may say that putting them into an instrument for disseminating to our team online. And we have now just not only one platform, we can create a 20-25 minutes of information on a system. We can come like MST. Microsoft team has really become one of the close ally and friend in dealing our compliance system in today's time.
So
a lot of like MS support, where I say, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, very well articulated
operational
challenges of COVID, where regulators have been hyperactive, trying to work with a noble intention of helping the impacted and reducing PF rates, operationalizing some liquidity in the market and stuff like that. But how it translates into serious challenges, we have seen where regulator would say, give people an option whether they want 10%, 11% or 12% deduction. Now imagine a company with 2 lakh employees, 50,000 employees, trying to reach out to all its employees, getting their preference, then running multiple cycles on payroll with different deduction programs, reclassification of some of these employees, and making sure your vendor outside is depositing the right PF. And then if next month they want to change their preference, again, operationalizing that can become a huge challenge. So very well articulated, Vijay. These are real lower level operational details. And imagine life when you don't have digital systems, where people are operating in an ad hoc, manual, paper-based and people-dependent programs, where access to information and notification of a government can take days before it reaches you. Interpretation can be very difficult because they are intertwined with each other. One has to be inferred in context of something else. When you comply with one rule, you may be out of compliance with another rule. The various Pradhan Mantri Yojanas, while great intention, but operationalizing them in absence of IT systems can be a big deal. Very well said. Let me bring TV Srikkanth into the conversation now. Srikkanth, you're working with a pretty large and sizable group responsible for managing compliances. Seen this scenario pre-COVID, during COVID, after the first wave receded and now the second wave took over. What are your observations around challenges of managing compliances during COVID?
So thanks, Rishi, and great insights by both Vasudevan sir and Vijay sir operational challenges that they faced during the last 1 year. To be very fair, to start with, I would first say that in 2001, when the twin World Trade Center fell, the world was divided pre 2001 and post September 11. Now we are operating in a world which is pre March 23rd, which is pre COVID and a post COVID, and the world has shrunk on the digital platform. Now the operational challenges are no more a complaint in an organization stating that this work is not done, that work is not done. Everything has to be digital. It has become a fact and not a statement anymore. So that is how the world is evolving post the COVID era, and especially during the last 1 year. Vijay sir or Vasudevan sir would be very much affirming with my stand. We were waiting for notifications from SEBI that use of digital signature is allowed in the signing of the documents because we are at home. Will the date of extension, because the initial notifications which came were for specific dates, like on 23rd May, because the lockdown was initially till that date. So digital signature use was also limited to that date. But then post that also, we were not able to come to offices immediately. So from to that level of means apprehensions on how to go about filing our regular stock exchange intimations to today, where we find that compliances is easy because you have technology in your hand. Or else just imagine 63,000 compliance law which you showed in the first slide, generation 2021. Do you imagine that they will be doing it on a manual basis and have the patience like Dr. Vasudevan having 10 boxes to carry to Bombay? I don't think so. So that has of course changed. But also the fact of the matter is that this was an essential which came in the form of COVID to us. This transformation had to happen in India, considering the young generation that is coming up and the amount of compliances that are growing. Today, you see, even the government officials are messaging you that they are ready for a WhatsApp call to discuss matters which they want to close. It is no more that, for example, a factory inspector inspection which happened in my company, the report and the earlier 3 copies of those results have to be typed on a Microsoft Word and submitted to the offices. Today they are well happy to get it over their email and close the matter or discuss the matter over a WhatsApp call. So to that level, the convenient, even they have understood. So that's been a tremendous transformation in that regards. Also, the thing is that when you see compliances as a general matter, when because there were a lot of hiccups during the initial lockdown period, especially considering that over a phone a person would say that, sir, abhi to urgent hai, material aana hai. Means I am saying in Hindi that the material has to come in, so I have to issue the PO without following the process. I have to issue it. But then these systems and are there in places, for example SAP system or a Tally, which helps you to today from a digital signing of the contract by the supply chain head. This has helped us, because if it was some 10 years ago, we can't imagine this situation of sitting at home without these digital platforms to get this work done at a speed. In fact, if you see, all the companies post COVID have performed well in India. How has that been possible? Even after enduring such a large pandemic, we have India as a country has been able to evolve out. It is because of these automation and the things that have happened in the terms of digitalization of various activities. Even the form filings, for the matter, today it's become so easy. Paperless IT assessment, it's a fact which we never thought around 10 years back. Today it's a faceless assessment that is going to happen going forward. So you don't know who your assessing officer is, and you will be facing whatever questions over online. You cannot complain that the IT officials are harassing me over and calling me to office 20 times. So this is what we have to live going forward. And I think this will ensure greater interaction with our public officials. Then any emergency work, it's at a breakneck speed that will happen going forward, be it compliance in respect to and when you and this is where, when these manual processes are still in place, when Rishi talked about this Excel spreadsheets, that is where the challenges will come if we don't move down to cloud. because until and unless you don't move to cloud, in the Excel database, you still have certain manual interventions into the process.
Absolutely. So if I may add a couple of perspectives, because I have this unique pleasure of talking to hundreds of compliance officers and CXOs around the country. One thing that obviously hurts everybody is missed deadlines, missed dates. And this happens because people are tracking compliances in ad hoc, manual, and paper-based processes. There's so much going on. People are trying to deal with pandemic in their personal and professional lives. Missing dates is a natural consequence of this. So that's one. When you miss dates, you may have missed critical items. Critical items, there are 26,134 items in Indian law where entrepreneur can go to jail out of 69,233. So that's about a little over 35%. We don't realize that sometimes we miss deadlines on critical compliance. So that's a big big one, because you're not meeting people. People are not jogging each other's memory. They're not bumping into each other in the office every day. They're not meeting in a room. Digital platforms were still new and evolving. Some people didn't even have a laptop to work on when the pandemic started. And all of this affected compliance. The second big one, here we see about 3,500 regulatory changes in a year. We as a company track 2,233 websites every day and monitor regulatory changes on behalf of our clients. Believe it or not, there were over 1,000 regulatory changes which were very COVID specific, which needed actioning almost on an immediate basis. There were lockdown proceedings, there were unlock proceedings, there were specifics on what can be done, what is qualified as essential versus non-essentials, what actions needed to be taken. Vijay pointed out some changes on the PF, ESI. There were employees who were suffering, who needed benefits, ESI benefits and others. There were employees who were going through a rehab after recovering, and multiple months they were going to be out of commission and they needed assistance with insurance schemes and various social security schemes and so on. All of these things kept the compliance to be a highly dynamic and active one. And managing compliances and staying compliant while all this was going on with the right calculations, the right penalties, the right interest, the right rate structures, and making sure all of these things happen on time is non-trivial. And that's something which I have seen many of our customers struggle with. So let's take a 1 minute break here. I would like our team to bring up a post poll and bring our audience into it. I request all the panelists also to take a stab at the poll. This poll is a very simple poll. I would appreciate if you can answer some of these questions. I hope all of you can see polls on your screens. Please take a few seconds. It will really help us. The poll is open for another 30 seconds. Twenty seconds. Last 10 seconds. Grace, 10 seconds for those who are just waiting to press the button. All right, last 3, 2, 1, close the polls now. We'll publish this data after our discussion today. So let's switch gears now from problem to solution. We've heard from our panelists today on various challenges that we have faced on compliance management during lockdowns. And one common theme that has emerged is without digital technologies, it is almost impossible to manage this complexity, size, and sheer magnitude of work that is required to be done and still stay on the right side of the law. Let me bring Dr. Vasudevan into the conversation and have him talk about his solutions, his thoughts on what needs to be done to manage compliance during lockdowns better. How do we build a lot of resilience into our organizational critical process of compliance management? Dr. Vasudevan.
Yes. See, the use of technology has become inevitable. You can't live without technology nowadays. Okay, especially in the complaints. Okay, when the complaints are to be done within the stipulated period, it is not only an Herculean task. No, you do require information, data, everything to be in your fingertips for the compliance. And in case if you don't comply within, it'll fetch a huge business risk. Business risk. The technology, the role of the technology plays a vital role. So it has a legal, social and ethical responsibilities. The compliance always should align with the laws, regulations, the procedures, standards in order to ensure the best compliance standards. Whereas technology combines everything available in one platform. So when everything is available in one platform, what is wrong in making use of it? Here, say for example, whenever the Ministry of Home Affairs gives some direction about the COVID pandemic, everybody will get panicked. Even I've been associated with the Finance Companies Association. There are about 100 plus members. Almost I used to get about 50 calls. In fact, sir, what is to be done? What is to be done? What is to be done? So they will not have any enough time to read the the whole notification, things like that. And central government will give their notification will be on a different line, and the state government will slightly interpret in fact. So here we should act as a one common person to comprehend hell and to advise them in fact. So it was really actually challenging, even for each and everything. Say for example, in case if
Vasudevan, would it be fair to say that professionals in compliance need to keep up with regulations, because regulations are highly dynamic, new acts are coming up? I mean, if you look at the last 7-8 years, right from Companies Act of 2013 to the IBC,
data
privacy laws, and as compliance professionals, you can never say I have arrived, because laws are changing constantly. You need to constantly stay on top of things. Regulations, their impact on your businesses, your clients, your technology platforms, your operations, and residual risk that some of these laws introduce into the way things work. Otherwise, things are not going to change.
Absolutely. See here, necessity. It actually makes us to actually think for advancement. In fact, say for example, those days, let's say actually before the pandemic, we used to do the arbitration cases and things like that. So we used to send the physical notices and things. Nowadays, now we are exploring to have the online dispute resolution, ODR mode. Okay. Then see, now almost all the courts, even the small courts, they are actually conducting the cases through online mode. So everything is there. We have not been using that in fact.
So what can corporates do differently to manage their compliances better?
See, but actually what I can suggest, they should have an effect in, nowadays artificial intelligence, it plays a major role. Say for example, if I can have your PAN card copy, which you might have taken about some 20 years back, if you can actually give me your picture, live picture now, there will be a huge difference. It will really, it will actually synchronize and the process, and it will say, it is actually whether it is correct or not. Why I'm telling you that technology has grown. So nothing wrong in making use of technology. As of now, I have never ever come across any any hurdles because of the actually any stoppage or actually blockage or things like that. It has to be done means it should be done.
So
That's all.
is it fair to say that compliance officers need to become tech savvy? They need to stop hesitating from adopting technology, start looking at the new world of technology. Otherwise, they will be left behind.
Absolutely, absolutely. In one way, I can say yes, but they need not to become actually tech savvy. They should know what is what, how to operate, how to do the filing and things like that. If they know, and say for example, whenever see we have various what you call actually the website. So we used to get live updates. In fact, as and when the notification comes, no, the notification will be released only in the late evening. But we used to get it in the by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock itself. You'll be actually getting a notification, right? So here the what you call the world is actually shrunken. World is shrunken. See, before releasing the notification, that is actually coming to your mobile. So you have to open it and you have to get it actually yourself updated and you have to make a note of it. Use that technology and you comply it.
Excellent.
See, those days I remember. If you take a actually manufacturing company, you need to take a actually boiler license. Electricity, you have to take license. Fire and safety, you have to take a license. Everything, some people they will give the license for actually 1 year. Some people they will give for 2 years and things like that. How to see those days we used to manage with the typewriter and the handwritten records. Now everything is up. You can manage everything with your laptop. So
yeah. So we at Aventis we have a license management module to solve that problem, Dr. Vasudevan, where all the licenses along with their from date and expiry date and actions on that license and all of that is already pre-configured. So all you need to know is wait for the alert, and the moment alert comes, take the necessary action.
Very good. I would like to tell you one small thing. We have used to some year actually during 90s Fox Pro. In that Fox Pro, we used to manage the compliances. And even the form printings and also it will be there. We will take a printout, then we will submit it.
Yeah, I have to spend more time with you to look at the historical perspective on compliance. There is so much history which you have personally witnessed.
Yeah, see, actually, there are about 4,800 acts. 4,800 acts. Nobody, we can't actually keep everything in our mind. So here, the
out
technology.
of that, Dr. Vasudevan, 1536 affect entrepreneurs, which directly affect business. So we have catalogued all of them meticulously, painstakingly, 69,233 compliances in their documentation, penalties associated, whether jail term is there or not. It has been a Herculean exercise.
Really. Even if you take the what you call the employees related actually compliances, ESI, PF, maternity benefit, shock and disability, each state it will vary from each state. So you need to
absolutely.
Unless you have
there are
system.
Some benefits of having central acts, but there are disadvantages of having concurrent items on the constitution.
Correct.
So anyway, let me now quickly bring in Vijay. Vijay, what do you think needs to be done differently by organizations to create compliance infrastructure so that they can deal with these extended, uncertain lockdowns more effectively?
Yeah. So, you see, I think now situation is here very fair because we have a burst of information all the time and a lot of channel our own e-platform. I can quote you various live, that information from the regulator, whether it is SCC, whether it is LexisNexis, whether it is any other Supreme Court, High Court verdict or lower court verdict, they are online available. And I always get updated with these information within, seamlessly, and I can activate those, requirement. But then I think challenge is that how this information to be disseminated across and how the team to be educated and developed quickly so that they can practically apply it to all sphere of your required business. So I think here important thing is your database database and data, centralization. So lot of the jurisdictions which are of state nature or central nature or concurrent nature, they have to be brought at one point as a centralized database. And this database to be then further, because see, these compliance guy only operate from the corporate office or some selective office. This level of educated person may not be available to your forefront of your business. And therefore, reaching out to client and, meeting with the government regulator, company cannot afford to have 5, 6 well-qualified, compliance officer of, maybe law graduate and having CS qualification behind and maybe master qualified. So the first important thing is streamlining the process, putting the centralized data and how to put it, whether it's your own server or on cloud. So it means you have to, find out the partner who can basically help you in your data management. Now this data management, again, because of new, technology, there is a lot of leakage of information. And these complaints are highly confidential in nature because they are exposing company, information and which are not, I may say, good enough if suppose being available and maybe transparent. A lot of people, they talk that compliance is to be on transparent platform. See, that's a poor talk. Actually, whether you are maintaining it on digital platform or on, the manual platform, compliance is always a matter of governance and control. If you do not control these compliances on this e-path or say expressway where your information is running and anybody can tap it by using the cyber, maybe intelligence, could be now AI and maybe you might have seen that machinery intelligent, even the big data and, that I'm saying a lot of that big data analysis, a lot of company can track your information even from your server. So I think there is a, I think that immediate various, I may say the measured actions need to be taken by the respective organization because regulator is available online. See, for labor management, we have pan-India level LMS, labor management system. On MCA, when I say Ministry of Commerce Affairs portal, all 37 regulators are connected. Now on single portal, you can go for, I may say, or SEBI information, SEBI regulation, their clause 49, that mandatory, the compliance requirement, there you can also follow the PF and, ESIC and everything is available on one particular single master portal there. And to now, I'm saying importantly, how this information to be disseminated, how it to be, I may say, to be sent to the concerned, those who are educated on those particular thing. And most importantly, your cross-functional team, whether it is engineer, whether it is doctor, or whether it is anybody who is basically in the business, they have to be, create a kind of alert for them that boss, these are the things to be started on day 1, and these are the things to be closed on day 15th. See, company cannot afford such a big team and tall team and single guy in compliance. If I talk about the Dr. Vasudevan, maybe he have, him having 2 guys with him. Can they manage the whole stream of information of compliance and bidding it to be I'm saying with the regulator? So a tool is required, a system is required today, and that system to be having saved from all breach of information of your company.
Excellent. So basically 2 things which I clearly take away from what you said, Vijay. First is education, continued education, focus on keeping yourself abreast of what is going on in the industry. And second is focus on digitization because manual processes are not going to work. Regulator is showing signs of completely digitizing themselves. Majority of the central government compliances are now available through portals. States are falling in line. And time has come that compliance officers, like rest of the business processes within a company, go digital. So let me quickly bring Srikkanth. We are not left with a lot of time in the conversation today. Srikkanth, some quick tips from you.
Yeah, so thanks, Rishi. So hearing to the others also, the one line that is important today is that data for today and data for tomorrow. And under manual processes, the way you said, with the person, if the information is getting drained out of the company cannot survive in the long term. So digitalization of such records is of utmost importance. And today, with the offices getting smaller, digital will be the new era where the data will be stored, the data will be captured, and the data will be disseminated. You can take the very example of COVID the last 1 year. Now the regulators are maybe using a very relaxed way of doing compliances, but after 4 years, when they will be asking us questions that why you didn't comply on a specific date, unless and until we have digital records to prove our stance or our compliances, we will be left into a position of fix where we'll not be able to manage them. So at that moment, when you have digital traces, digital records in your hand, they will come to your aid because that is available irrespective of the person who is there, who had complied that. Maybe today I may be complying for my company. Tomorrow it will be some Mr. X who will be doing that. But as we study from the 1956 Act also, company is a going concern and it will survive over the years irrespective of the persons. To ensure that in today's world, the importance of digitalizing the records is of utmost importance, and also the amount of laws that is changing at the speed it is changing. Humanly, it is very difficult to track them on a manual basis. Updating your manual Excel checklist on a day-to-day basis with the changing laws is not feasible going forward. So digitalization and taking help of an agency or people who are professionals or using the artificial intelligence to trigger alerts, to trigger information to us as and when we require it is of priority. And many, as you may be knowing, the Mardani movie, Rani Mukherjee goes to a jeweler to ask some information. So he says that I have a valuable item with me. So she'll ask that, is it jewel? No, he says that it is data. So the future of 21st century is all about data and not about monetary or physical things. Data will be the future, which will be taking us forward.
Sure, very well said. Thank you so much for bringing the element of importance of data in the next century. We have our active audiences, just like always. There are a few questions. Let me quickly come to them. The first question is from Dr. Dakshina Chandra. What are the key technology tools that are aiding e-compliance in India? AI, cloud, blockchain. What are the futuristic technology make this process more efficient? How much is Avantis investing into cutting edge technology to make regulatory compliance in India futuristic? So Dr. Chandra, great question. Avantis is a RegTech, which is regulatory technology company. Over the last 8 years, we have invested heavily in building a number of technology tools for 3 levels. First level is tracking, monitoring, and managing compliance through its life cycle, all the 69,233 compliances across 1536 acts. The second layer on top of this is actually data processing, where for labor and for secretarial compliances, we have completely digitized not just the tracking and management, but also record creation. So you can manage all your secretarial operations digitally, automated creation of agendas, e-registers, resolutions, votings, management of meetings, the whole 9 yards has been digitized. And the third layer is actually electronic filing, which means straight through processing, what we currently see in income tax and GST. That will be the future, where you will have a document locker, e-vault, or something like DigiLocker for enterprises. I've been talking about it extensively, where government will have to enable something like this in order to have a centralized repository in order to reduce fraud and so on. I've also been talking about universal enterprise number, so that a compliance history can be created on a company across various types of compliances. There will be a lot of work in creating a central utility along the lines of, say, NPCI and others, which can become a compliance utility or infrastructure company, which will enable digitization of all these compliances. Those are some of the key areas, and Avantis is going to stay heavily invested in building technology around this and enabling it. The next question here is, a lot of compliance owners do not come from legal or compliance backgrounds, but are responsible for various compliance requirements as a department and head or manager. How can we effectively bridge this gap to help them do their duties effectively? I would request one of the panelists who are serving as compliance officers take this question. Anybody?
Yeah, Rishi, let me take that question.
Sure.
Yeah. So see that those people, those who are not having any element of background of that compliance. I already said in my last talk that cross-functional team. They are very important for the organization to understand these nitty-gritty of that bit of laws. If I not say that the total laws, like you see as an engineer, even you see I did my engineering and I born as an engineer in this field, but then I moved into legal and aspects of the regulatory. And I studied my first book, that business environment. And why I study that book, business environment? Because it taught me around engineering that what are the legal and political and social aspects of engineering I should operate. And it means that before to study that engineering study, I have to understand my social, economical, and legal aspects of the business. So here that cross-functional team to be given some small capsule training by the organization, those who are capable and potent in the organization, or maybe through the external agency, that particular that jurisdictional or transaction of compliance, because this compliance word is not a small word. There could be 1,000 layer, the layer of the compliance of various regulatory nature. It could be factory, it could be soap and establishment, it could be mine, it could be construction site, and it could be a plain service, the service unit. So various structural requirement of these compliance could be, afforded through a specialist. They can come and develop the, hunches, at least understanding of our cross-functional team, so that they can contribute not only in sale, in bidding, and in operation, and they can ask that or rather request the demand from internal team of compliance to fetch those, documentation or certification or maybe enrollment or permissions, whatever being required from the local bodies.
I would like to add to this, just like Vijay, I graduated as an engineer from IIT, did my MBA from an IIM, never learned anything on compliance management or laws in my education. But we are in a knowledge industry, and I am trying to build one of the compliance companies in the country, been doing that for 8 years. So my 2 cents on the subject: education is neither a necessary nor a sufficient condition for you to become an expert on compliance. All you need is a passion to learn, passion to spend time, and over a period of time as a practitioner, life will teach you enough lessons. That's how I've been learning over the last 8 years. If I can do it, I'm sure you can do it as well. Anybody else would like to contribute to that question? An interesting question. Okay, let me move on to the next question. Can compliance be managed in-house for bigger organizations with the help of technology, or is outsourcing necessary? Another interesting question. Anybody wants to take a step? Dr. Vasudevan?
To me, it is not necessary to actually get everything outsourced. If you can be able to manage, you see now actually due to the advanced actually technology, the what do you call it, the person responsible for the complaints should make use of the technology. If they find any difficult, they can actually go for actually buying some software, because there are a lot of actually complaints related softwares are available in the market, so they can make use of it. In fact,
Totally agree with you. Outsourcing is not a panacea or a solution for all the world's hunger problems. Outsourcing helps in some ways, but self-help for larger organizations provides greater transparency, accountability, control, and timeliness. All we need to do is be assisted with smart technology tools which are out there. Talk to us. We can give you an example of one of the best tools in the industry that we have been developing. There is no reason why you cannot manage your own compliances within the organization. Where there is a will, there is a way. Anybody else wants to come in?
Yeah, you see, I think this matter of compliance, definitely a big organization should develop in-house general compliance. And this in-house general compliance, you see, maybe in 1990 when this globalization came in India, and a lot of legal practices, big house, we call the big five. Big five of India are basically having more than 90% of pie of legal service, all corporates. But after the globalization, see till 2008, when super globalization came in, and you see that European, they dismantle Brexit came in, you find that at that time, basically it become that every company start hiring a general counsel for their team. And this general counsel then build up into a legal and statutory aspects of build up. And here is a catch where a lot of consulting being thrown out because basically there is a conflict of interest in the compliance. See, compliance is one of subject which I always say that who breach most, it is the manager who is colluded with the some consulting party, and there is a conflict of interest. And therefore, this delay, this less payment, non-payment, or short payment, are not at all payment. Like I heard in a lot of breach in compliances where a lot of consulting agencies couldn't handle it properly. So why my intention is there? But understand, general counsel alone, alone with the team cannot handle in 2 days time where the speed of compliance has gone a very fast pace. So in certain area, wherever you feel that like your due diligence and KYC, certain third-party audit area, and maybe documentation where you want that certification has to be done without any delay, because the certification nothing but a third-party audit and then closing document for our final audit of annual return or recordings. So here, whatever the strength you can take from some strong agency, I will not say big five, whatever now we have today, so many agencies are there, they vouch for their strength, they have a very legal, strong, robust team, they can help us in build up. Like in our organization, we have taken certain help in due diligence and KYC, certain, that third-party audit we do for our internal and external, that audit part. So I think you must take help of partner wherever you feel, because you cannot field 1,000 people across India to have every element of compliance to be pursued through one common central team.
Great. Thank you so much, Vijay. One last question and we wrap up the event. We are already 6 minutes behind schedule. Question is 2 to 3 takeaways to strengthen the culture of compliance in the company. Dr. Vasudevan, what can be done to strengthen 2 or 3 things to strengthen the culture of compliance in a company?
See the meticulous follow-up, storing the data and actually retrieving the data at the appropriate time, keeping track of record. Everything is possible only with the common word, the technology. Everywhere, wherever you go, it will be like what we call actually one point where it will end at the same point only. Okay, the technology. Okay, make use of it, keep everything on track so that you can do the robust what you call actually the compliance as well as the tracking and the monitoring, so that we can actually make use of the technology in a better way, and we can live our life easily without any hurdles.
I often say, Dr. Vasudevan, that technology does not have emotions. If there is a delay in compliance, technology will flag it. On a given day, it will escalate it. It will send you a reminder. It will send your manager a reminder. It will send your management a reminder, because technology does not have emotions. You can't hide behind excuses. Technology brings transparency and control.
See, here, I do agree with you. Here, each and every process owner, they have to meet the deadlines. They have to keep the deadlines. They should not cross the deadlines. In case of any barriers, they should escalate it to the higher level and they should take it up immediately, and they should actually redress and they should actually resolve the issue then and there and comply. Okay, according to me, I have handled so many things, never ever actually paid fine and things like that. See, small forms like ROC or something, we might have skipped something, some forms, 200 rupees, 500 rupees fine we might have paid. We have not got any huge actually fines imposed by any authorities.
Sure. So a couple of things I would like to suggest on creating a culture of compliance. First, bring in a technology system. I think all of us agree on that. That will bring transparency, accountability, timeliness, and control. Second, make sure that your management reviews compliance preparedness on a monthly basis in your management team meetings. Highlight the gaps, the residual risk. Third, make compliance goals for every employee who touches compliance. Make sure that they are linked to their annual appraisals. Fines and penalties are measured, they are reported, and people get incentivized or punished for poor compliance. Fourth, create opportunities for learning for your staff on compliance. Regular knowledge upgrade is must. The world around us is changing rapidly, and what you know today may not hold you in good state 5 years from now. So create a culture of learning and continuous upgrade of knowledge and reward that people. So I think those are few suggestions from my side on creating a culture of compliance. Anybody else, Vijay or Srikkanth, would you like to add briefly? We're already about 10 minutes behind.
Yeah, Rishi. So I think you summed it up in the in a very exact manner. Today, it is increasingly seen that today the KPIs are being fixed, where the first line item itself of a person's KPI or a departmental head's KPI is compliance to the law. Because today the board of directors do not want to fall in a position where they are. So Companies Act 2013 has made it. People realize that you occupy the seat of power and you go to the jail also with that power because of that power. So but today the KMPs and directors are equally afraid about non-compliances because the penal provisions are such. And the future is all about agility, speed, integration, and analytics. So there is to one of the questions I wanted to say, when the big organization they need outsourcing. So I would say that there is in today's youngsters don't want to reinvent the wheel. So if there is an organization which is able to provide you with solutions like an Aventus, who has the entire bandwidth or the knowledge base or the KPO, the knowledge process outsourcing, which is a future in India. If they have it, there is no point in reinventing the wheel inside a company and creating a structure. It is always easier and better and cost effective in the terms of for a compliance officer to use those services to do something better in the organization and focus his resources and mind for the higher goals of a better governance or to ensure better transparency in the board meetings. So I think that is what is my view, and thank you for the time. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's 12 minutes past 4 o'clock. We're already 12 minutes behind. So my apologies to our audience to have kept them waiting for 12 more minutes, but you've been a great sport. So on behalf of Aventus and all our family members, on behalf of TeamLease, take this opportunity and thank all our panelists, Vijay, Srikkanth, and Dr. Vasudevan. Thank you so much for taking the time, joining us on the panel today, and making sure that our audience can take a few tricks and tips for creating a better compliance environment and complying, being on the right side of the law. So thank you so much. Thank you, audience, for being there. Really appreciate you joining this and staying through the entire discussion. Until next time, have a good day. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Rishi.
Yeah, thank you, Rishi, and thanks
to Rishi for your time and space. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.